your pain. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation. It's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
My people, what's happening? You look good, you feel good. How's everything? Are we ready to interact today? Let's interact, you and me. The worldwide community. What's going on? Sean McNally, what's up? Great show job Sunday. Yeah, good to see you. As a matter of fact, I want to talk a little bit about that. Sunday was Bowery Electric. We had a great show. Sean McNally, of course, being a Boston guy. And The Long Wait played. And these shots are Rich Zoller shots. Yeah. And The Long Wait was great. Of course, there's Jamie from SSD, plays bass. It was a great day. Great day down on the Bowery. Really nice. Nice day. So, yeah, The Long Wait. We had Fug It. Fug It set it off. Here's a shot of Mimi Fug It. They were great. They set the tone for the day. There you go. These are, of course, Rich Zoller in the house. Brian Mattson, that's right. It was awesome. It was a great day. Yeah, Long Wait was good. It was good. The Long Wait's a cool band, you know. The Long Wait's cool. It's like Jamie from SSD, Steve Ristine and Mark McKay from formerly of Slapshot, and the singer that was in Wrecking Crew. So, who else was on that bill? Oh, there was a little. Jerry Bade did his Dead Crew thing, something a little bit different. So that was cool. And Shoot the Five. Here's a cool Rich Zoller Shoot the Five shot. Let's see what we got now. Shoot the Five. Some real hard Latino hardcore, yo. They were great. Hard. And then the headliner was Fury of Five, and they were great. I mean, they really were great. I watched a lot of them, and for what they do, they really bring it. Fury of Five, there's the infamous Stickman, and they bring it. Fury of Five's no joke. So it was good. What's up, DD? What do you say? What do you say? So yeah, so that's what's going on. That was the Bowery Electric, and coming up on Saturday, if you are in the New York City area, we, as an Incendiary Device, we're playing with Stigma. It's a free show at Mother Pug's Saloon in Staten Island. Stigma, Incendiary Device, Mutant, The Blame, The Sling Blades featuring Steven Messina, and Idiot Box. So come on through on Saturday if you are in the Staten Island area. So is that right, Elisa? Hi, popping in, but got to pop right off again before this becomes a diplomatic incident. I'm at the UN today. Well, I appreciate you popping on from the UN, and I hope you can sort everything out there. You know, this thing in the Middle East, really needs you to sort it out, Elisa. It's getting a little out of control. So, counting on you. Need you to get in there and throw some bodies around and sort this thing out. Everybody should be okay. Everybody should be okay with everybody. You know what? That reminds me. You know what I fucking hate? You know what I truly fucking hate? What do you think? I was thinking about this today. I mean, I hate. Hate's a strong word. I don't use that word lightly. You know what I really fucking hate? Take a guess. What does Drew Stone hate? Hate. I mean, hate. God. You just saw Lisa. You saw Lisa in the window from across the river. Good. Yeah, Sworn Enemy was there. That was cool. The new Superman movie. Well, I'm not going to go see the new Superman movie now that I've heard nothing but bad shit. You know what, bro? John Burry, you nailed it, dude. Politics. Yeah, I fucking hate politics, man. I really do. And all this bullshit. Yeah. You know, I hate politics. Hate. Such bullshit. We have a song on a new record called Politics. Actually, Eugene from Go-Go Bordello is on the track with me. So that's on our new record. Yes, Drew, down with Zionists, the modern day Babylon. Yo, you know something, bro? I'm not even going to get going on this yet. Not politics, common human sense, easy to hate when you don't understand things. Excuse me? Excuse me? Maybe you should start your own show, bro, and you can pontificate. See, this is how fucked up politics is. Even the mere mention of the word politics, people start carrying on. The mere fucking mention of it, of the word. Oh, down with Zionists. Oh, this and that. Up with this, down with that. Oh, give me a fucking break. Anyway. Yeah, we'll see you, bro. Bye. That's what I get, right? That's what I get. By the mere mention of the word. Unbelievable. Anyway, on a lighter note, let's talk about the tie that binds us all together. Music. Incredible. What else? Before we bring our guest on, nice calm show today. I'm excited about our guest, a real music guy, and got some great stories and some great stuff to get into. And yes, this is the non-political show, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are brought to you by New York Hardcore Comics. Remember them? The Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Mad Vintage, Women of the Pit, Candlewitch Co., and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. So that said, everything else. Yeah, let's talk music, food, and exotic animals. Yeah. Wow. You noticed? You redecorated the wall behind you. No, I just put in a different picture right there. Actually, Josh, I took out the Incendiary Device record that has my hardcore trading card on it, and I put the whole Bowery Electric crew in front of the Babmaids Memorial there. Hey, Scott, what's up? Scott Earth. That's right, Joseph. Let the music do the talking, man. You know, and speaking of letting the music do the talking, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. That's what I get. C-SPAN or New York Hardcore? Choose wisely. I choose New York Hardcore. God, the mere mention of the word just gets people crazy. Unbelievable. Today's guest is an American author, band manager, and record label employee hailing from the Golden State of California. He was involved in the band management of the bands Big Drill Car, Drive Like Jehu, Rocket from the Crypt, Supernova, and others. He has put time in at several record labels, including SST, Cruise, Cargo, Enigma, and Trust. As an author, in 1994, he released the book Hell on Wheels. Here today to talk about the revised release, Hell on Wheels, Tour Stories, Remembered, Remixed, Remastered, coming at us from Long Beach, California. Please welcome Mr. Greg Jacobs. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going, Drew?
The mere mention. God. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy world.
I hate politics, too.
Oh, man. And just the mere mention of, I don't even want to talk about brings drama. How's things in Long Beach, buddy?
Things are good, man. It's nice day. Although honestly, I haven't been outside yet, but it looks like a nice day when I look out the windows. Nice and sunny, 75-ish probably.
Good.
Should probably get outside one of these.
Nah.
In a minute.
it's outside. It's who needs that?
Overrated. Yeah. Working from home. Working from home, there's days that I don't go outside at all, which is kind of sad.
The pandemic kind of set the tone for me.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, in a certain regard, and I know we're going to get to this with you and with the book, the pandemic really kind of put the revised version of the book in motion, correct?
Yeah, it did. It gave me the time to do it for sure. Yeah. It also put a pause on it for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So it took longer. It took longer than I expected it to. My father was ill during that time too and passed away. So that took a chunk of time out of working on the book because, priorities. But
your dad passed away on my birthday.
Wow, did he?
June 28th.
Wow, yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it sucked. He was a good dude. He didn't understand the music that I love at all, but was really supportive. I mean, he even, when I had a band management office in San Diego and couldn't pay rent, I could call him every month if I needed to, and he would pay my rent for me. Like, he was super supportive, not only monetarily, but just excited that I was trying to do my own thing. I
was looking for that picture of you, your dad, and your mom. Looking for that.
Oh yeah.
But, he looks like a fun guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's the dad that's he's the baseball coach.
Yeah.
The guy that sat and did your homework with you, and he was that dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it sucks. It's been a while now, so it's not as raw.
Yeah.
I used to not even be able to talk about it, but I'm better now. But
your mom's still around?
Yeah. My mom, this might be a little much, but my mom, as soon as my dad passed, found out she had breast cancer. So we had like two things right in a row that just really hit. But my mom's good now. She went through chemo, lost all her hair. She's grown it all back, and she's cancer free, and she's 83 or 4. She's a happy grandma. Yeah,
I can relate. I went through that with my significant other. It was heavy, man. Here's a shot of your dad and your mom. Yeah.
That's it's just to show how supportive those two people are in my life. That's a kind of a sketchy area in downtown LA that there was a photo gallery, a gallery and a photography show that I had one photo out of about 30 people, and my parents came all the way to this sketchy neighborhood in downtown LA because I was in an art show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and even and Stephen Messina says, Drew, you're lucky to still have Arnie. Enjoy every second with him. My dad's going to be 93, and
Nice.
he's like my consigliere. He's like Don Corleone in my life. And he's been on the show many times, and his favorite band right now is Turnstile. He's great. He's great, and I've learned to appreciate, be in the moment, be in the now, and appreciate those that are here.
Yeah.
I think when we're a little bit younger, things are moving pretty fast, and I regret not sitting down with my grandparents and interviewing them about their life in the old country and stuff like that. I was young and I was busy being, chasing around the rock and roll fantasy and whatever else,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
But let's get down to it, and we'll go where the horse leads us. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
My household was not that musical. My dad actually played clarinet, but like in high school. But he always brought it up as a proud achievement. But I never even saw a clarinet in the house. So it was early. So, and as far as a record collection or anything, and we had Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. That was the record that was in the house, and I used to. When I was a little kid, I would put it on.
Wasn't that B.J. Thomas?
Yeah, exactly. I would stand in front of the turntable and conduct as the
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
I was a little kid, and that's kind of one of my first memories of music. Actually, is conducting Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
I think that song played big in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I think that there was a scene in. Am I remembering that right? Is Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head? Wasn't it that scene in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid when there's like a montage, and I think that was a big '70s hit, and when they had like movies had like the one big sort of centerpiece song, even I think didn't Midnight Cowboy and all these films. No, that's not Conway Twitty. That's B.J. Thomas, bro. So yeah. So that's an early music memory, and then where does it go from there?
Well, I wish I knew how I got exposed, but Elton John was kind of my next love, and it's still it. Elton John's been. I'm not even going to say a guilty pleasure. I've been an Elton John fan since probably age 8.
Wow.
I got to see him in '83 in Irvine, California, and I went with. It's kind of a funny story. I think it's a funny story. First of all, I had orange hair and earrings in 1983, conservative Orange County, at an Elton John show, which I was not going to miss.
Right.
But then I was like 17, probably maybe 18, and I went with a friend who was younger than me, and we're sitting down, and my friend says, "Hey, ask that lady next to you if she'll buy us some beer," because we didn't have IDs, and it was the concession wasn't going to sell to us. And I looked, well, no way, that lady's probably as old as my mom. I mean, this lady was probably 30 at the time. I'm like, no way I'm going to ask her. That's my mom sitting there, basically. And and 5 minutes later, that lady sparks a joint and taps me on the shoulder and hands it to me. And I handed it to my friend, and my friend's all, "I'm pretty sure you can ask her to buy us beer now."
Ray Hogan asks, favorite Elton John song?
Oh, that's a good question. First thing that popped into my head was Daniel's song. I'm not 100% sure that's my favorite song, but that was just the first thing that popped in. But I'm a big, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, those records really killed me. I just loved them. I still do.
Elton John was, one of those artists in the 70s. It was just massive. I mean, it's just just a big part of the culture and sort of, I remember, I remember watching the show not Three's Company, the other one with Mackenzie Phillips, and she's dressing up like Elton John, and what was that one called with Mackenzie Phillips and Valerie Bertinelli? Not Three's Company. Yeah, but
they were in school, right? Was that the school?
No, they lived in the building with their mom. They had a single mom. Yeah, it'll come up.
Yeah.
What was the name of that show with Valerie Bertinelli and Mackenzie Phillips and Bonnie Franklin? The hell was the name of that show? And it'll One Day at a Time. Not 8 is enough. 1 day at a time. Thank you. 1 day at a time. Anyway, what was the first music that you felt was like yours? Like this is, this stuff is speaking to me and as a young person that you felt was, hey, speaking of which, what's up, Dito? Hope you're well, buddy. Yes, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Speaking of filmmakers, Astoria Queens represent. What was the first music that you felt like this is mine? This isn't something I'm seeing, on TV or something. But what was the first music that you were exposed to that you felt personally connected to?
I've watched many of your episodes, so I'm not gonna say Kiss, even though that's where I was leaning. I think Elton John's flamboyance led me right into Kiss's flamboyance. But maybe I could go to Cheap Trick, actually. I think Cheap Trick is probably, I've called them this for a while. They're like my gateway drug to punk rock.
Sure.
And I just, live at Budokan, I wore that record out, man. I loved that record. And somehow I thought, even though it's probably one of the highest selling live records of all time, I really thought it was my record and my discovery. I thought I was introducing my friends to it. I loved it so much.
Growing up here in New York, I remember, we were young, man. I think got to be 6th or 7th grade. There was some kids that just loved Cheap Trick. And I remember it was when they were really, those early Cheap Trick records that were produced by Tom Werman, who went on to produce Motley Crue and Molly Hatchet and all that. That's a guy I'd like to get on the show to talk. I produced the early Cheap Trick stuff, the early Molly Hatchet stuff, the early Motley Crue stuff.
And then he retired. Stories.
And then, he retired and he had a bed and breakfast in like Massachusetts or something.
He's got some stories, man. Some studio stories for sure.
How did the dare I say punk hardcore thing come into your orbit?
Initially, my first memory is I'm guessing it was late 70s. Not that I was listening at that time yet, but I remember seeing a People magazine. My mom subscribed to People magazine, and the Sex Pistols were in it. And it was some big article about them vomiting in the airport or spitting on people in an airport or something that, I don't know if they actually ever did that, but
right.
The pictures, and I was just enthralled by these people. I just couldn't believe it. So I that didn't lead me anywhere yet. Probably a year later, my next door neighbor, his name is Robert Stoddard. He's probably, I would guess he was 5 years older than me, but he's a guitar player who ended up being in LA Guns.
Oh, right on.
And he was in an early version of LA Guns, but he came over to my house, and he was teaching my younger brother how to play guitar. And one day he came over with the Germs record. This is like it just came out. And he put it on, and I was listening, and I'm like, I don't hear this, man. I don't get it. And then and then about a month later, I'm all, hey, can I listen to that again? And then I was hooked. That was it. It was over for me.
That's some real West Coast shit, the Germs.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like a real West Coast. We sort of on the East Coast here, different things kind of came through, you know. I remember the Sex Pistols, hearing the Sex Pistols, and we just thought it was the same kind of thing. We used to put the Sex Pistols on and like fight each other. That's what we would do. We put the Pistols on and we would call it "Let's Get Rowdy." We'd put on the Sex Pistols as young teenagers, and we would wrestle and fight each other as young bucks. That's what like that meant to us. It was aggressive music. It was aggressive music. It was the most aggressive stuff.
It was made you want to move around, and yeah.
So did the Germs kind of send you down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, for sure. It after kind of rediscovering the Germs upon second or third listen to it, I marched down to the record store and bought the Sex Pistols. I bought the first Devo record. I bought the Police, which were kind of lumped in at that time, like 1980. That was kind of lumped into the, you know, and I like the Police.
You can't, the swirling sands of time might have changed things, but those first two Police records were friggin' great.
Yeah.
I know now it's sort of like Sting and but those first two Police records were really fantastic.
Yeah, those were the first three records I bought on my own, were the Pistols, Devo, and Police.
Yeah, and this is you in 81, 82?
Yeah, 81, I think.
Yeah.
That's the... So the guy behind me is Art from the band Supernova. He played bass in Supernova. And this is the first... This is the first time we pierced our ears.
And you guys pierced your own ears?
Yeah, we did it ourselves. We went into Art's garage. I'm wearing like one of those fishing lure things like Darby Crash is wearing on the back of the Germs record. And I sharpened it on a dirty file in Art's dad's garage because I didn't think it was going to get infected. I didn't have any idea, and I just shoved it through my ear. And then we had to show somebody, so we went to our friend's house, and this is our friend Evan's house, and he took the picture. But
wow.
Yeah.
And another one from, it seems like that era, I guess. This is kind of growing up in Southern California, right?
Yeah. Getting chased down the street because you looked funny. We don't even look that punk rock really, but for 1981 or 2, like people hated us just for however we look right there. That's Art again, from Supernova. And the reason my hand's up is I'm hiding my earring in case my parents see the picture. That's how,
that's how it goes, you know.
That was Disneyland too, by the way.
Oh, right. And I was a little confused by this one. Were you and Art in a band together?
Yeah, we were.
And what was the name of said band, and what was history of said band?
We had a band. The original name of this band was Religious Grandma, which is a name that I found when I was searching for greeting cards at a drugstore, and that was one of the divider subjects. It was, you know how it can be like son, daughter, grandma. Well, one of the dividers was Religious Grandma, and I thought that was hilarious. So we were called Religious Grandma for about 5 minutes, and then we changed the name. We started listening to The Cult, and they had a song called False Faces, and we decided to call ourselves False Faces. So that was me and Art at our high school, but that was after we had gone there. but we were asked to come back and play.
And here is a False Faces show.
The only show we played at an actual venue. We played at parties, and this is the only actual rock show we played at a venue at Safari Sam's in Huntington Beach, which is I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was a great venue that held about 75 people. But Black Flag played there, the Minutemen played there. Like it was an amazing venue in downtown Huntington Beach.
And what did you play in the band?
I played guitar, rhythm guitar. My younger brother was the lead guitar player, and he was just much better at guitar than I was. And he could sing, and I couldn't. So my brother did backing vocals and lead guitar.
So you're in a band. You have high aspirations as a musician, and I'm assuming around that. I know you ended up working in a record store, ended up working for labels. What's sort of the timeline there?
Yeah, probably the band was probably 87-ish.
Oh, it's a little bit later. Okay.
Yeah. The record store was probably around the same time.
Okay.
Just before yeah.
And this picture of you and our friend Randall Underwood is before all that.
That's before. That's probably 83 or maybe 84 Halloween in San Diego. Randall and I went to University of San Diego together for a couple. Well, he graduated from there. I was there for 3 semesters and then was asked to leave.
Oh, there he is. What's up, Randy?
What do you think, Randy? You remember that picture?
That's funny. That's funny.
I have a big Randy and I used to chew tobacco back in those days too. I have a big giant dip in my mouth. I can see how my lips sticking out.
Chewing tobacco. Woo!
I know, it was gross. That led us to cigars though, which is much more acceptable.
Yeah. Any bands in that era that you saw that were just inspiring and great, sort of in that area that you came up in? And anybody kind of, you come across anybody's path that was just, fuck, these guys are great and ended up kind of being great?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have been able to go to the Cuckoo's Nest, which was a very short-lived punk rock venue. I mean,
that's where Henry Rollins did his first show with Black Flag.
Yeah, I have a story about that. I was 15 and 16 years old when the Cuckoo's Nest was happening. It closed in December of '81, and I used to. My parents would never let.
Was the Cuckoo's Nest in Costa Mesa?
Yeah.
And there's another club there now, right? I think
there's a club next door. Cuckoo's Nest used to have. There was battles in the parking lot between the people at the Cuckoo's Nest and the people at Zuby's, which was kind of a country western bar next door.
Who was telling that story? Was it Jack Grisham or somebody on the show was talking about like this was a constant thing where like the punks would be battling like the cowboys.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's the Vandals wrote a couple songs about it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But so I would go to the Cuckoo's Nest and I would just tell. I made the mistake a couple of times of saying, "Hey, I want to go to the Cuckoo's Nest. It's an all ages club, all ages show." Sometimes they were 18 and over at the Nest. Sometimes it was all ages. They never checked anyway. They just didn't care. They wanted bodies in there.
Sure.
So my parents would always say no. So then I would just say, "I'm going to the movies. I'm going to a party," and I would go to the Cuckoo's Nest.
There you go.
So I made the mistake on the night of Henry's first show to say like, "Hey, me and Art, the guy that's in all those pictures, and a couple other people we're going to ride our bikes to the Cuckoo's Nest to go to this all ages concert." And I even showed them the flyer, like, "Look, it's all ages." And they said no. And I I couldn't get away basically. So because I was trying to be the honest kid, I missed Henry's debut at the Cuckoo's Nest with Black Flag, and never saw Black Flag until they got back together in whenever it was with Ron Reyes, who's actually, honestly, Ron's my favorite singer anyway, so I was really excited. But man, it was a bad show.
Yeah, I saw that too. It didn't really, it just wasn't great. But here's a shot, a Glenn Friedman shot of that Cuckoo's Nest show, and there's of course Henry when he literally his first show singing for Black Flag with Greg Ginn and the Duke, right there. You know?
So, but I should have been at that show. I still give my mom a hard time about that, because now, you know, my brother's kid bleaches his hair and gets earrings, and my mom thinks it's adorable. When I did it, I got grounded for weeks.
Right. Did you what record store did you work at?
It's called Pier Records in Newport. I was actually the rap buyer.
Really?
Because I was the only one that knew anything about it at the time.
Let me get.
I got introduced to NWA really early because the guy, his name's Kane. He helped put out the first big drill car record, and he was working at this pressing plant called Macola in LA. Mm-hmm. And Macola is where Easy had the first NWA stuff pressed. And Kane got one and gave it to me. He's all, you got to listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. And I couldn't believe it. I was hooked immediately.
It was hard. It was punk. It was hardcore.
Oh my God. It was the most hardcore stuff I mean, compared to whenever that came out, 88, maybe 87, 88. I don't remember. But compared to the other stuff I was listening to at the time, nothing was more aggressive and punk and hardcore than that. I didn't think. But my friends all gave me shit. Rap is crap was the call.
So you were the buyer. You're like, let me get three Too Short, a couple iced tea.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was basically a punk rock record store.
Yeah.
So I had a very small section to fill, but yeah, I was that store also had a head shop in the back where we would sell pipes and bongs and other stuff that we used to sell cut for coke. It was the worst, man. I hated that part of the job, but I wanted to work at a record store. I figured it would be good experience for my aspirations of working at labels and future. But having to sell that kind of stuff, and the manager threatened to. He's like, I think we're gonna move into sex toys and dildos and stuff back there, and all of us threatened to quit. Everyone that worked there was like, nope, I'm not doing it. But yeah,
it's one thing to sell mannitol to step on shitty blow, but dildos is
that's apparently where I draw the line. Yeah,
I draw the line with dildos. Yeah,
we had the dildo company sent us a promotional item that was an inflatable sheep that had let's just say it had access.
Access ports.
Yeah, and it was called the Love You, EWE, the Love You. Of course, we inflated it and hung it in the head shop. We had to.
Yeah, from Sex Pistols to sex dolls, we got it all. Come on down.
I like that. That's
we got
great.
it all. We got the new Elton John record. We got the latest in dildos, all sizes. You need to cut that shitty Coke of yours that you bought down the street to sell to your buddies in junior high school. We got mannitol. We also got Rush, and we got 300 different kinds of rolling papers.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Glass pipes too. Don't forget
glass
the glass
pipes too.
The glass was important.
Yeah, I think I worked in a record store, and I just think that guys like myself and you, and then you hear about Quentin Tarantino working in a movie in a rental house, and I look back at the time of working in a record store, and it so expanded my palette of just music and what I was forced, because I worked in Strawberries Records in Boston, and there was a playlist that you had to play. At the time, it was vinyl, and there was, every month there was another, let's say 10 records that you had to play. So every month, 10 records, ad nauseum, but it just put an incredible amount of artists on my radar screen. And to this day, how would I know about a band like Saga or Diana Ross or the Stray Cats? Or these are bands that I was forced to listen to when I worked in a record store, and it just expanded my musical vocabulary incredibly.
Yeah. What struck me, the record store I worked at was really small. But the thing that, and we weren't even big enough for the labels to care about what we were playing inside. So what really struck me is the power that the record store employees have by what they put on. Because anything I would put on in the store, I would sell. Like my friends would come in with the tape, I'd put the tape on, and people shopping would immediately say, "What is this? Where is it? Can I buy this?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is a tape of my friend's band. You can't buy it." Or, "This is a tape of my friend's band. I have 3 of them. Here's one for $5," or whatever. But it felt, I never, that really opened my eyes to the power of just playing music for people, whether they want to hear it or not, and how influential it is.
I mean, we've often talked about how back then you would, I could speak just for here in New York City, whatever, Tuesday was like new release day, and you would go every Tuesday. Like I would go to the record store to see what came in, and then albums, I would just pour over albums, who produced it, where was it recorded, what is it, connect the dots, and the artwork was just such a big part of everything. The culture was just tied in with the artwork and the credits and what's coming out, and I'd go wander around record stores for hours, and I think, and it's just a different world. I'm not saying it's better or worse that we live in now, but there was no internet. That was the community and the culture, and if you were a music fiend, you would go and wander around a record store for hours.
Hopefully latch on to an employee that had good taste in music that would recommend stuff. That's how I discovered a lot of stuff there's a huge record store in Costa Mesa called Music Market. It was a little overwhelming. It was so big, but there was a punk rock section and a couple other sections that were great. And then a little bit later in my life was a record store called Zed Records. It was up here in Long Beach, which was for us being younger kids back then, it was kind of a long drive. It was like 25 miles to get to this record store, but it was worth it every time. And I'm still actually really good friends with people who, well, one guy just passed away. I don't know if you knew. Did you know Big Frank from?
Yes.
He worked at Zed. That's where I met Frank. And then also Caton DePena from Hyrax. He worked at Zed too, and he lives in Long Beach. Caton and I are still pretty close.
I have a picture that you sent me with him, correct?
Oh yeah, Caton did a book reading.
All right, we'll when we get to the book, I'll pull some of those out. Is this around the time that you started working for labels and managing bands?
The band management thing started before the labels a little bit. I was roommates when I finally got kicked out of my parents' house, not for anything bad, just because they decided it was time for the baby bird to spread his wings. And they were probably right, even though I was very comfortable living rent free.
Sure.
But my roommate was Frank Daly, the singer from Big Drill Car, and they had the band MIA, where Frank was the bass player. They had just come home from tour, and Frank and Mark, the guitar player in Big Drill Car and MIA, were like, "Hey, we got these songs in this new band we're going to go record," and they played them for me, and I thought they were great. And they said, "Hey, we need a manager." And at that time, being a manager meant booking, answering fan mail, basically doing everything except playing.
Right.
And I said, dudes, I have no idea what I'm doing. Never done this before. Never even thought of doing it, but I'll try. And if it works out, let's do it.
That's the spirit.
And technically, I'm still their manager to this day. Not that there's any management needed, but a couple of years ago, I helped them get all their stuff online, so you could buy it digitally. Finally,
when was the last time they played?
It's been a while, at least 5 years ago, if not
Yeah,
longer.
I seem to remember there being shows. I mean, it was in the last decade, right?
Yeah. I think the last show they played, Frank had a really bad throat. He thought he had something going on, like a nodule or something, and he could barely speak. So he got up and sang a bit, but Jeff from Game Face ended up singing a lot of the songs for Frank, because Frank just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And once you started with Big Drill Car, I mean, I know you were involved, whether you co-managed with Rocket from the Crypt, Supernova, and Drive Like Jehu, correct?
Yeah. What happened? I managed Big Drill Car in the 87, probably 88-ish. Helped them get signed to Cruise. And when I helped Big Drill Car get signed to Cruise, at the same time I got a job at Cruise. And that so I worked at Cruise, then Cruise was bought out by SST, so I moved over to SST. And then at one point, my dad made me this offer and said, "Look, you're making $900 a month." And I said, "But I'm working at SST. Do you know what this, I'm at SST." He's like, "Look, I'll pay you $900 a month to not work at SST, and I'll pay for your college. Go back to school." Because I had quit school to start working at SST. And so I did. And as soon as I got out of school, I got offered a job at Cargo down in San Diego. So I moved down to San Diego, and the first person I meet is John Reese, who's also working at Cargo. John is the singer, guitar player, songwriter of Rocket from the Crypt, and also the guitar player of Drive Like Jehu. He's in both bands.
Right.
And he knew that I managed Big Drill Car when I got there. And within about 3 to 6 months of landing in San Diego at Cargo, John said, he came up to me one night and just said, "Quit your job and manage my bands." And at the time, I said, "No, I just moved 100 miles from home. I'm trying to figure this shit out. I don't think I can do it." And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I got to go for this. So,
but the allure of the rock and roll life, the rock, but it just pulled me. It just pulled me. It pulled my, as a young man, it just pulled me in.
Yeah. I had to go for it, so I did it, and I don't regret any of it. I'm proud of my association with all those bands.
Of course. Question from Retisonic. Greg, first Drive Like Jehu was mind-blowing and different than anything ever for us in New York City. Did it have the same effect in San Diego? Was Pitchfork as legendary for the San Diego people?
That's a great question. I was working at Cargo when the first Drive Like Jehu record came out. I wasn't actually their manager at the time, but yeah, that blew people's minds. And Pitchfork too. Pitchfork was pretty popular in San Diego, although I was living in Costa Mesa at the time that Pitchfork was really active. But yeah, that's John Reese's band with Rick. Rick has several last names: Froberg, Fork, Farr. But Pitchfork, in my mind, man, I remember hearing Pitchfork and just having my little head explode. I couldn't believe how amazing it was. And then Jehu did the same thing to me. In fact, Jehu was the conduit for Rocket from the Crypt and Drive Like Jehu getting signed to Interscope Records, and to us getting our attorney, who happened to be why am I spacing on his name? Jim Carroll's ex-wife. Yeah, Rosemary Carroll. She was awesome, and she said I heard Drive Like Jehu on the college radio, and I had to track you guys down.
Aw.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the A&R woman that we worked with at Interscope, Anna, who I'm still friends with too. She liked Jehu better than Rocket, even though Rocket was much more commercially acceptable, I guess would be the same.
And another band that you were involved in was a Supernova. Here's a shot, I guess, in the old Hoboken Maxwell days, looking back towards Manhattan, right?
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Sorry. It's funny that I don't remember this photo, because the guy in the Boy Scout hat, Hayden, is the original guitar player. And when I managed Supernova, they had the second guitar player. I didn't manage them when Hayden was in the band. So this photo is a little baffling to me.
It's an anomaly.
Yeah. But I think, isn't that right? Don't you think, that's Hoboken, right? Like looking like right by the
that's the Empire State Building in the background.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
My guess is it's Jersey looking to Manhattan. I do not think that's Brooklyn look. It could be Brooklyn, but no, you see, it's got it. I think Jersey. Yeah,
we would stay with Randy in Hoboken, so it's probably it's got to be Hoboken.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
I remember Randy and I went to Supernova was playing CBGB's, and Randy and I went over to see them, and we went early because I can never remember the street it's on. There's that one street near CB's that's like all Indian food. Every restaurant on it is Indian food.
You might be thinking of, like, back then it was like Lexington Avenue and 23rd Street. Right on Lexington Avenue, there was a couple of blocks in the low 20s was just Indian restaurant. Oh no! Oh, I know what you're talking. Lower East Side. There was also a street. Was that 6th Street or 7th Street?
I was gonna guess 6th, but
yeah.
But so,
6th Street. Randy. Yeah, it was 6th Street.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow. I sort of forgot. That's so long gone. All that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe Randy will remember this. Randy and I went over to see Supernova, and we went early because we were going to get Indian food, right. And they had either just done sound check or were just about to do sound check, and Art was walking around the Bowery, and those guys. I don't know if you know or familiar with Supernova, but they love to push buttons. That's all they did. They dressed like complete jerks. They shaved stars in their heads. They like everything about them was button pushing. So Art's got a child's cowboy hat on that doesn't fit him, covered in aluminum foil. He's wearing hot pants and a vest with an aluminum foil belt, holster, and fake pistol, and silver Doc Marten boots, and he's just walking by himself through the Bowery. And I remember Randy looked at me and he's all, Art's gonna get killed.
Yeah, that that didn't fly too well down here in New York. That kind of stuff, like
I know it's fun. And those guys, I don't know how they got away with it, but those guys, they would all just, that's all they wanted to do was, it wasn't even I don't know, they would shave their eyebrows off just because it made them look weird. Like,
we're looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Here's the shot that you mentioned Big Frank before, and here's a shot of you and oops.
Yeah, I wish I had a better one.
Yeah, but it's cool. Here he is.
He's in the back on the stairs.
Yeah,
that's Big Frank.
He's looming over the whole.
He was a security guard for the promotion company out here, Golden Voice, that put on all the shows.
Sure.
And so this is me fanboying out with Moose, the bass player of New Model Army, in probably 87 or 88, and Big Frank's kind of looming, and probably thinking, can these guys just shut up and get out of here so I can go home? But Big Frank was always a sweetheart, and I'm not just saying that because he's gone now. He was the scariest looking dude in the room, but also the sweetest.
Was there a connection with you in New Model Army, or because you have a couple of shots with them from back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time we met them. The guy in the Yankees hat there, he somehow met them. They played at the Whiskey this night, and he met them and said, hey, New Model Army needs a ride back to their hotel room with their gear. And I had come with my friend in a van, so we moved their gear for them and brought them back to the hotel. And Justin, the singer, came out with a bottle of Jameson Irish whiskey and said, let's drink this. So the long-haired dude leaning on Justin, I can't remember his name, but he was a roadie, and those other guys are the guys that I came with. I only remember one of their names, obviously.
Got it.
But we downed a whole bottle of Jameson with Justin under that Christmas tree at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood. But the connection. The guy in the Yankees hat, his friend, this woman Robin, who also lived in the Costa Mesa area, ended up dating Rob, the drummer from New Model Army, and they ended up getting married, and she moved to Bradford, England with them. So that was that was our connection with them, but they got married kind of after. So I was just a geeky fanboy. So if I could get backstage and get a picture with them, that was my whole goal.
This is you and Ricky Warwick. Ricky wasn't in the band then, right?
Yeah, he was. He was hired as a second guitar player.
And this is before the Almighty.
Yeah. His story. He's got a story in my book about this tour getting left behind.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that because in my notes, that's one of the stories that I think is really great. Did you know Ricky's wife Vanessa?
No, I believe I've met her, but more recently. Have they been married for a long time?
I don't know if they're still married. They were married in the 90s.
Okay, I met a woman that I believe to be his wife. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was doing video. I was doing still photography, and my friend, actually that guy in the Yankees hat, was doing a music video for Ricky out in Joshua Tree. And his wife, I believe it was his wife, came to watch and take pictures. She took pictures too. Excuse me.
Don Cowan from Kraut says, Big Frank saved my life grabbing a body that was falling directly on top of me at a crowd show with Golden Voice.
That's awesome.
Don Cowan in the house.
There's so many great Big Frank stories about him saving someone from either getting their ass kicked or something. Like the guy you mentioned in the intro, I freelance for Trust Records right now, and the guy that runs trust, Joe Nelson has some great stories about Frank saving him from getting his ass kicked as a little kid.
Makes sense. So, yeah, that guy's legendary for sure. Let's do this because I think we've sort of set the table, and we're going to take a sponsor break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to do a deep dive into the book Hell on Wheels, Tour Stories, Remembered, Remixed, and Remastered. Lots to talk about. Some really funny stuff in the book. It's really a great, entertaining book. So let me do a sponsor thing. It'll be a couple of minutes. You got a few minutes, and we'll come back, and we'll get into the book, okay?
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks.
That's right. Our guest today is Greg Jacobs. We're about to do a deep dive into Hell on Wheels, Tour Stories, Remembered, Remixed, and Remastered. Lots of notes. It's going to be good. It's a great book. Great book. So let's do some sponsor stuff. We'll do some upcoming shows, and we'll get into it. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that. But the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking...
Boom, and we're back. Nice, calm Wednesday show. No drama today. Not in the mood for it. Hey, let's talk about some upcoming shows. On Sunday, this Sunday, July 20th, Tommy Carroll will be on the show co-hosted by Howie Abrams. Tommy Carroll, of course, sang for Straight Ahead. He was in New York City Mayhem, and he played drums in Youth of Today. After that, 1 week later, Steve Ashim of Deicide will be on the show co-hosted by Joel Ghostin. Wednesday, August 6th, Demi Duvas, Crown of Thorns, Still Suit, Scarhead, Homicidal, and Smoke AD. Wednesday, August 13th, Alec Mackay, brother of Ian, DC Hardcore Represent. Sunday, August 17th, Tim Williams of VOD. Sunday, August 24th, Johnny Eggs of Sheer Terror, who, by the way, is the proprietor of Mother Pug's Saloon in Staten Island, where we are playing with Stigma this Saturday. If you are in the area, you better be there. Wednesday, September 3rd, Mike Davenport from the Ataris. And you hear it here first. This is not yet announced on social media, but here we go. Wednesday, September 17th, Anthony Rat Martin from the Varukers, formerly of Discharge, War Wound, and The Vial will be on the show. Rat coming on the show. Lots going on. Lots going down. There's the Patreon page, as if you didn't already know. Please support the show. Be a patron on Patreon. There's a super chat function. There's a PayPal address. Like the show if you're watching a rerun. Follow the show on Instagram. What do you want me to do? Smoke it for you? Get with the program. Get with the program, my friend. So that said, I'm just glad you're here. Everything else, is that right? Lori Dawn says closing reception at the Christensen Gallery of the Skate Deck Art Friday at 6. Okay. This show is the best part of my week. Well, thank you. That means a lot. It's the best part of my week, too. Love being here with you. It means the world to me. Yes! 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 Babylon, Long Island. All right. Get out there, Babylon, Long Island. Babylon and on. That said, let's bring our guest back on, Senor Greg Jacobs. Amen.
Hey.
Hey. Let's talk about. So they put like this whole weird new formatting thing on this platform. So I'm sort of trying to make it's the same but a little different. So that's why there's a little weirdness with me getting pictures up. Let's talk about Hell on Wheels. I know that initially the first version of the book came out in 1994.
Yeah. And
then years later, after it was out of print, you did a remixed, remembered, and remastered version. What was the impetus initially to do Hell on Wheels, and explain to everybody what's the premise of the book?
Okay. The premise came from my mom. Initially in 1994, when I had the band management office, I shared an office with this guy, Gary Hustwit, who's gone on to be a documentary filmmaker, actually, and he lives in New York now. He's from my side of the world, but moved out to your side. He's made the recent documentary Eno that it's pretty awesome. It changes every single time you watch it. It's different every time.
I don't know. Is that I did see an Eno doc, but I don't think it was that.
It's been out for maybe a year now.
I don't think I've seen it. I'll have to check it, run it down.
He's done. He did Helvetica documentary on the. Anyway, he's done a bunch of stuff. But at the time when he and I were sharing an office, he was a book publisher. He also did a music festival in San Diego called Independent Music Seminar. Mm-hmm. And one day he just yelled through the wall and said, "Hey, I'm the only author on my publishing company. You need to write a book so I can have another author." And I, again, much like when I was asked to be a band manager, I said no. I said, "Dude, I was an art major, not a literature major. I'm not a writer."
Right.
And later on, I mentioned it to my mom. I said, "Mom, Gary wants me to write a book." And she said, "You always love it when your bands come home and they tell you these crazy things that happened on tour. And when you go out," I didn't tour very much. I'd go out and do weekends and things like, I'm the manager. I wasn't the tour manager, and I didn't have the stamina that those guys did to tour. It's a lot of work.
It's not for everyone.
But so I was like, Mom, that's a great idea to tell those stories. And so that I told Gary, I said, what do you think of this idea? And he loved it. And we started on it. Gary really helped getting stories too. And our office happened to be next door to the Casbah in San Diego. So there was no social media at the time. So it was really difficult to reach bands unless you knew somebody. But so we would just go down at sound check to the Casbah, and
for the uninitiated like myself, I'm assuming the Casbah was a music venue.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it's kind of if I could I might get skewered for saying this, but it's kind of the CB's of San Diego. It's the punk rock venue in San Diego, and it's been.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. It's been running since I think 1990, maybe.
It's ringing a bell now because I think we were gonna play there with Channel 3, and we ended up playing somewhere else in San Diego last year. Yeah,
it's a great room. It's like, have you been to Emo's in Austin?
No.
It's like a mini. I mean, it only holds 150, I think, the Casbah. And it's 2 rooms, so the actual rock room holds about 100 people. But there's an outside area for smoking and actually getting out of a hot, sweaty room.
Every city is entitled to lay claim to. It is the CBGBs of, like, every city it's fair. It's 100. It's fair to hey. It's the the so-and-so is the CBGBs of Minneapolis. Yeah. So it's 100% legit.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because it's the room to play.
Sure.
And the owner was originally a promoter before he had a venue. He brought all the big bands in, did all the punk rock shows, rented the venues, the halls and everything. He did all the big shows, and then he ended up buying a venue, and he's just Tim Mays is his name. He's a great dude. Even like when bands that I was working with got too big to play the Casbah, and even kind of it didn't make sense to do 2 or 3 nights at the Casbah, we'd go to a bigger room, but we'd go through Tim, even though we could have gone directly to the venue. But we always wanted Tim involved just because he's such a good dude.
Amazing the world we live in now, right? With Live Nation and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Where they've just eradicated the Tims of the world and stuff like that. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
It really is.
It sucks, man.
Anyway.
Sucks.
But so that's how we got the stories. And I say not the royal we, but me and Gary. Gary really helped, like I said. And we just interviewed as many bands as we could get a hold of.
When you say interviewed back then, what did interview look like? Did you sit down with your hand recorder, or did you? I mean, what? This is, of course, pre-internet, anything like that. So, would you sit down and go, "Tell me your tour story," and you put it into and then play it back and like, what did interview look like back in 1994 for something like that?
Yeah, I gotta say, interview, I use that term very loosely because I did. Yeah, I did. I had a handheld, like those micro cassette recorders.
Yeah.
And I would that's all I would say. It wasn't an interview at all. There was almost no questions. We sat around, we chatted a little bit, and I pressed record and said, "All right, tell me your tour story."
Right.
And that's how that one came about. And luckily Gary had a few people working in his office. So I didn't even have to transcribe anything of the first book. The second book, I transcribed the whole thing, which was I really should have been more appreciative of the people who transcribed the first book, because now I realize what a pain in the ass it is to transcribe, especially someone like our mutual friend Ricky Warwick, with his thick Irish accent on a recording. was so difficult to transcribe and kind of figure out what he was saying. He was probably the most difficult one to transcribe. But some people actually wrote their stories for me. Drew, are you there? Kind of feel like we got cut off.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, like I said, weird
New.
shit.
Yeah.
But I'm getting used to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So transcribing so hard. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like it's work, man. It's work. I did it a lot, before this current modern age, and it's tough, man. It's nowadays. Now it's pretty easy. Like you could just speak into your laptop and it transcribes it for you, and then you just go back and edit it.
Yeah, that I tried to use when I was doing the new version of the book. I tried to use some different transcribing software, and for some reason, the digital recorder that I had, it just wasn't working. I wasn't able to use any of the transcription services. So I did them all by hand, which is really a pain. That's what took the longest out of anything.
But, I will say this about that, doing it like that, I feel, is it actually, keep it in the eye, it keeps you more connected with the material. And I feel like I could suss it out better and have a greater sort of command of the material other than just words just rolling out. Like I feel like there's a little more care put into it when I have to transcribe it and sort of work through it like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I tend to get lazy because I've since used a transcription service for other things.
Yeah.
And I know, since I already know what the transcription is supposed to say, I will miss like typos and words that are wrong just because I'm like, I know what this says, and I'm just kind of quickly proofing it and I mess it up. But if I'm doing it myself, I won't do that.
Yeah, there you go. So early on, what were some of the early challenges in the first edition of the book?
The biggest challenge was figuring out how to get a hold of bands. I mean, being a band manager at the time, and being lucky enough to have a couple bands on major labels, I had some good connections, so I was able to call different managers and things to try to get, hey, will your band want to do this book? But in general, it was just hard to find bands, which is why, I mean, honestly, the first version of the book doesn't have many name bands in it. We were lucky that someone in the office knew Greg Hetson from the Circle Jerks, and that's how we got him in the book. And I remember the biggest thing was we were almost going to get a Red Hot Chili Peppers story, which I'm not a big fan, to be blunt, but
Sure.
to have that band name on my book would draw some attention to it.
Sure.
Right. So I would have put that story in there in a second. But Chad, it was going to be with Chad, and he said that, we're just about to get the cover of Rolling Stone. I don't know if I should do this right now. And I think that was his way to just politely say no without saying no.
Yeah.
Because the book didn't come out for a year after they did the Stones.
Well, shit, that Rolling Stone cover that they got was a big deal. I think that's if it's the one I'm thinking of. That was big for them.
Yeah,
that was a big moment, right?
Yeah.
So the book comes out, and was it moderately successful, and then it kind of just faded out, went out of print?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a small. I honestly don't even know how many copies were made. I don't know how many copies were sold. I just know that I got some good feedback on it. Gary seemed happy to have another author on his publishing company, and he seemed happy that he at least broke even. In fact, it paid my rent in the office a couple times with royalties, because he didn't, he'd say, hey, it's time to pay rent, because the office was in his name. And I was like, man, I don't have any money, so I'll just take it out of book royalties. So it was great. I mean, it was fun to do when I didn't really want to do. I had no aspirations of writing a book, either of these books. I had no.
So it sort of fades into the rearview mirror, and then at what point is there like a resurge of the book? Is it like what brought it back to the forefront that inspired you to revise it?
I wish I could remember this dude's name. If I could look it up. But this guy who runs a Naked Ray Gun page on Facebook, he mentioned the original version. I just grabbed it, actually. Here's the original version of the book.
Let me see. Hold on. Oh, wow.
And look how thin it is.
Oh.
Compared to the new one, which is...
Yeah. Wow. Very cool.
But, so the guy was talking about the original version, and there's a story from Pierre, the bass player of Naked Ray Gun, in there, and he mentioned that story and said, this is a great story. Has anyone read this book? Does anyone know about it? And I started getting Facebook messages from people I didn't know, like saying, hey, are you the dude that wrote that book? Do you have any for sale? And I didn't have any. I contacted Gary. I'm all, dude, do you have a box laying around that I can buy off you? And I found a few online and just resold them, like signed them and resold them to people, just to cover postage, just to get them. I thought it was cool that people wanted it, honestly. I mean, it'd been 30 years or more since that happened. So, and of course, so I screenshot the thing on the Naked Ray Gun page and put it on my Facebook, just saying, hey, look how crazy this is. People are talking about my book from 30 years ago. And a publisher from Portland said, do you want to do a revised version of this book?
How cool was that?
Yeah. I mean, it turns out that he's from San Diego originally. So, but
is that University of Hell Press?
Yeah. We didn't really know each other in San Diego. I think he moved to, I don't know. We didn't cross paths. We knew of each other, but didn't know each other in San Diego. But yeah, he said, do you want to do a revised version? We talked about it, and we started working on it.
And you added 54 new sort of stories for the 2024 release, and it was kind of like a COVID project, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got for the 2024 revision, you got comments from guys from Bad Religion, Dead Kennedys, X, The Specials, the Ramones. I mean, you definitely got some heavy hitters in there the second time around.
Yeah, I did. I'm really happy. There's one thing, I wanted Gary's blessing to redo this book, because he put it out originally. I didn't want to, Gary and I didn't have a contract, but we have a contract in the sense that we're friends, and I'm not going to do that to him if he didn't want me to re-release the book. But he was like, dude, yeah, it sounds cool, but this is what you have to do that we didn't do last time. He said, make a list of your dream bands to be in this book. And go after every one of them, because you can find them online now. You can find everybody. So Iggy Pop.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
400 shows in. I mean, it's really the internet, a curse and a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iggy Pop was on the top of the list, I'll tell you right now. And I made it as far. I couldn't even find Iggy's manager. He's hard to find online. I mean, sure, he's got a Facebook presence, but he's probably never even seen it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. So the way I got to Iggy's manager, this is kind of is through Jello Biafra.
Ah,
Jello, I contacted Alternative Tentacles and gave them the pitch, and I said I'd love to have Jello in this book, and they said, okay, call Jello at this time at this phone number, and he'll give you a story. And I said, great. So I call him. It's like 7 p.m. And I call him, and I'm trying not to be too much of a douche, but I mean, it's fucking Jello, right? Like that voice answers the phone, and it's like there's no way that it's not Jello. Like it's that I'm all, is that Jello? And he's all, yeah, I'm all, this is Greg. You told me to call for the tour. So he's all, I know. He's all, I just put dinner on the table. Let's go. I don't want it to get cold. I'm like, dude. Isn't this when you told me to call you at 7? I'm like, it's 7. It might be 6:59. Like I'm calling you right on time. And so he gives me the story, and as we're talking, he's warming up, I guess. He finishes the story and he says, you know who you got to get in this book? You got to get Iggy. And I said, yeah, I'd love to get Iggy. He's actually at the top of my list, but I don't know. I can't even find out who his manager is. And Jello was like, oh, his manager is this guy. I can get you his number, blah, blah, blah. So Jello not only hooked me up with Iggy, he said, you got to get Ian Mackay in this book. He's got a great he said, you need the Teen Idol story, not the Minor Threat story.
well, I was getting to that because I have my list of some of my favorite, segments of the book, and one of them is Ian, and I almost felt like calling Ian and being like, "Yo, bro, will you come on the show and like read it in real time?" Because Ian's good like that. Ian's good like that.
He was awesome with me, man. Because I've never met the dude. Still to this day, I've never met him.
He just sent me this the other day. I was like, what the fuck's he sending me? He sent me this kind of cool, I guess it's I guess they put out a Skewball Grand Union 7-inch. Yo, Drew, thanks for the book, because I sent him a book I just put out.
Oh, nice.
A nice note. He just showed up the other day. It was not nice of him to send, but he's good like that. Like if you ask, I was thinking I should call him, have him, but you know what? Then it kind of it'll veer in another direction. But I love the story, and for anybody that's thinking about getting this book, is really, really, really great, funny, honest, precious tour stories from people. And Ian talks about going out to when the Teen Idols went out to California for the first time, and they were very young teenagers. It was the band, and Henry Rollins was with them, and they go out to California with nothing in their pockets, basically, nowhere to stay. Some girl said, if you ever come out here, give me a call. And they get out there and the number's disconnected. And I quote, he says from his honestly, again, like that trip to California, the bus was so nuts. We got thrown out of Disneyland. We got thrown out of the LA bus station. We saw a knifing in downtown. Our minds were pretty blown. It was a lot to take in, but we survived. He talks about this and going out there. The Teen Idols went out there very early on in the game. You know, it wasn't like the hardcore superhighway was built. They went out there and played like New Wave night at some club or something. And it was really pretty intense. And the other story he tells in the book, which is pretty great, is when when Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night Live calls him up at the Discord house, wakes him up, says, "This is Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night Live. Fear is playing, and we'd like you guys to come up. And he's sort of like, really? Like, he wasn't some big Fear fan. And then Lorne Michaels hands the phone to John Belushi. John Belushi gets on the phone with Ian and says, we want some real punk rockers here. And the password to get into the building is Ian MacKaye. And Ian gives it to like 40 other kids. And they all show up for that legendary, infamous Fear performance that was like pretty crazy.
I love that you highlighted those, and I got Lee Ving to give me his version of the Saturday Night Live story too, which was cool. The other thing I love about the Teen Idol story that I think is hilarious is that Ian, somehow the bass rig that he borrowed blew up when he was using it, and the band Puke, Spit, and Guts, or whatever they were called, were looking for him to try and kill him, and the only way he could get away was at the bus stop. So he's waiting at the bus stop, and they're chasing him, trying to kill him, but he can't leave the bus stop or he'll miss his ride.
It was just some great stuff. Another story that I thought was really, really great, and this guy is a great storyteller. He's been on the show. He was in the Michael Lago film that I directed, and that's Joe Sib.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Sib is a great storyteller. I mean, the guy's a stand-up comedian. He's an improv guy. The guy is he's a great storyteller. He really knows how to tell a story. And Joe Sib, so the story that Joe Sib tells in this book is really, really great. He's talking about, he's in the band Wax, and I guess they did their own kind of DIY record, and they're ready to go out on a tour. And I think they got dropped from this little label, but he has the record, the CD, and he runs into Scott Weiland, right, from Stone Temple Pilots, previously known as Mighty Joe Young, I think they were called first, and he gives Scott Weiland a CD, and they go out on this dead end bullshit tour that goes nowhere. The guys in the band want to quit. It's basically the band's over as soon as they go home. They're dropped. The guys in the band don't want to play these shitty gigs anymore. The fantasy's over. Unbeknownst to him at the time, Scott Weiland, who has a little radio show on the big station in LA, I guess he has a little slot, starts playing something off that CD, and it catches fire, and these guys are out playing these crappy shows, dropped. All of a sudden, when he gets back into civilization, he finds out that everybody in the world wants to sign him now, and a bidding war breaks out. And I quote from the end of his thing, after this whole thing, it is an incredible story. I mean, because the guy is basically defeated. And in passing, he gives him a CD. He starts playing it. It gets a buzz. A bidding war breaks out. And they sign to Interscope, or they meet with one label after another. They go sit down with Interscope, and they're like, well, what do you want? And he's like, $400,000. We want to tour with Bush, and we want to make a video with Spike Jonze. And they agreed to all of it. So I quote from the end of the Joe Sib thing. He says, quote, I sat down beside my wife and I said, we just signed to Interscope Records. We're leaving to go on the road with Bush next week. We're making a video with Spike Jonze, and I'm personally getting a check for $100,000. We both stared out in silence. What the fuck? Incredible story.
It's I can. Joe actually transcribe, like he wrote that. It wasn't recorded. He
Right.
wrote it and sent it to me, and I can just hear I heard his voice through that whole thing, man. He's the best.
He's great, and the story's wild. It's this story of we were defeated, in the rock game. We tried, we were dropped, we were on tour, we were playing shitholes. The guys in my band turned on me. I lost, like the game was over, we were about to, and then incredible story.
It's so, yeah. He even he even felt like a jackass for giving Scott Weiland the CD.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like, oh, great, you gave him a CD. What's he gonna do with it? Throw it away?
Scott Weiland gave him a career. Another great one was Exene from X, who tells this really funny story about they're like playing New York for the first time. I was surprised they played Max's. I didn't realize the first time that X played New York. I think they played Max's. But in the middle of the night, they're all the way downtown. They hear some commotion in the street. John Doe looks out, and they're towing their vehicle. He runs down there in their boxer shorts, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And the tow truck operator's response was, quote, "All of New York City is a towaway zone." And then she got that line. She used that line in "Your phone's off the hook, but you're not," right?
Yeah. I love that. At first, when Exene gave me that story, I was like, I loved it, but it was so short. I'm all, this isn't even going to take up a page in this book, but God, that's just perfect. Like, yeah, I love that she exposes the origin of that lyric.
It's great. It's great. She was great. And then, a couple friends and people that have been on the show, Dave Smalley does this thing. And my note on that is typical Dave. It's like Dave is always, the unity and the brotherhood and the scene and those. My notes, typical Dave. It's like, even when there was fucking problems back in the early Boston hardcore days, Dave would always be like, "Brothers, we have to be united." And we'd be like, "Fuck him." And Dave would be in the middle of it going, "No, man." It was like Dave, typical Dave. But I quote from Dave's thing, "But you know what has been my favorite moments on tour? The incredible bonds of love and friendship, brotherhood that exists between bandmates on tour, the quiet moments." Typical Dave.
Totally, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who else? Just some. Oh, and I love the Damned stuff that's in there. Could you tell us about working with Rat?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was probably the most difficult time I had.
I could see that.
It was. I mean, I have a friend out here in Southern California, Darren, who he was in when Rat lived out here. My friend Darren was in various bands with Rat and had jammed with Rat, so they've remained friends over the years. So I asked Darren, "Hey, can you hook me up with Rat for a tour story?" And Darren said, "Yeah." So Darren called Rat, told Rat the whole thing, and Rat gave me his number, or he gave me Rat's number, and so I called Rat at the time I'm supposed to call him, and I'll tell you, 99% of the other people that we had set up interviews with, I shouldn't call them interviews, stories with, had one locked and loaded, and they're like, "Okay, you ready? Here's the story I'm going to give you." Like Ian Mackay, I think he was riding his bike home from softball practice with his daughter, telling me the story as he's riding home. Like, he was just locked and loaded and ready to go. Rat was like, I'm like, "Okay, dude. So, hey, this is Greg. I'm Darren's friend. we're talking about a tour story. Did you come up with anything? You have anything fun to talk about? And he just was blank. He didn't give me anything. So I'm like, okay, so then, and I'm not prepared to be an interviewer based on all the other experiences I've had with the other band member people giving me stories. Like everyone was ready and they were ready to go. So now I'm scrambling, and I love the Damned. They've been one of my favorite bands forever. But the only things that are coming to my mind are things from like the 70s. I'm like, is he going to remember something 40 something years ago? So I'm like, you guys played the Cuckoo's Nest. How was that? Like, I'm just asked like the worst questions ever. Like, and he's all, we drank it dry. And then I was just scrambling. I didn't realize that he lived in Huntington Beach, honestly, which was really interesting to me. And it's probably not the greatest story in the book, but it really hits home with me where he's like, so I'm in a hotel in Los Angeles on tour with my band, and instead of being out in Hollywood, I'm washing my socks in the sink, that's being on tour just as much as the craziness of being on tour.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because when you're doing it, you don't really think there's anything abnormal about being in a motel in the Midwest somewhere where the whole band is sitting there in their shorts doing their laundry, drinking a 6-pack of beer, and that side of it never really gets told.
Yeah. So I feel like he kind of, not that he exposed it necessarily, but he made you think about the less glamorous side of touring, really, which I liked. And I mean, I love Rat Scabies, so the fact that he was willing to do anything for my book was an honor.
When you and I, and where's that shot? We were just in Vegas. We were just in Vegas together for punk rock bowling, and when I hosted the tour at the Punk Rock Museum, you and Randy were along with us. There you are on the right.
Yeah.
There's Monkey in the middle, and there's Randall in the middle also, and just a whole bunch of Tristan on the left and Rochelle up front. And when we were in Vegas, it could have been this morning. The morning we did this, we ran into. Oh, we were sitting having breakfast in the restaurant in the hotel in the Grand. It's me and my wife Rochelle's next to me, and Tristan is across from me. And sort of peripherally, I see this guy coming through the restaurant. We're in there for breakfast, and he's sort of moving slow. He's hunched over. He comes past, and I see sort of my wife sort of makes eye contact with him. I see that they sort of look at each other as they pass, and she goes, I think that was just Dave Vanian. And I'm like, really? And Tristan, big damn fanatic, was like, holy shit. And he gets up, and we ended up meeting the Damned in the lobby, and they were really, really gracious and kind. And they signed his vest, and they talked to us. And I got a real sense from the Damned that they actually enjoy each other's company and actually like each other, those guys. Like, they hang out together. They're happy to see each other. That's the sense I got from the Damned. That was kind of cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had always heard that Captain and Rat didn't get along too well.
I could see that back in the day. But I think, nowadays, I think they appreciate it. Another story that you mentioned, Ricky Warwick, hilarious story that's in the book, is Ricky Warwick's talking about when he was in New Model Army. I guess after the show, he's hanging out, and this is in Texas, like in the summer. After the show, they left him behind. And then the club was like laughing at him, and he was like, it's his first time he's ever been to America, and the bus leaves him. This is before cell phones or anything like that. And the bus fucking leaves him in his underwear in Texas. I mean, eventually they came back, but that was a funny story.
Yeah, yeah, and he did, and the club, the security guy was like, they left you, man, and then he closed the door and had to lock up and leave the venue. So Ricky was just sitting there,
just sitting there, just waiting for him. I thought Jay Bentley from Bad Religion was cool too. He's sort of talking about those very early halcyon days of Bad Religion and how for them, you know, their first time like playing outside of the local circuit was they would drive to San Francisco, and he's talking about what that drive was like from where they were, which was even farther down south up to San Francisco. He said that was an 8-hour drive. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Oof.
We used to do that with Big Drill Cart too. They say we'll play anywhere within 8 hours. Let's do something over the weekends. So yeah, I know that drive well. We did that a lot. But yeah, Jay was, Jay was kind of funny. Like Jay, I know Jay peripherally. He's really good friends with a friend of mine, and we've had dinner together a few times. But I was trying to go through the proper channels to get a story from Jay or Bad Religion, but I was hoping it would be Jay, and the people at Epitaph were like, yeah, Jay passed. He doesn't want to do it. So I said, okay, that's fine, that's fair. And then I mentioned it to my friend. He's all, just write me an email. I'll send it to Jay, and we'll take care of it. And like within a half hour, Jay was like, yeah, I got something for you, and he typed it up and sent it to me. So
it's our dilemma, right? It's like doing books, doing this show. When I got to reach out to a manager, about an artist, the manager never even mentions it to the artist because there's no money in it for them, no money, no percentage for the manager. It's like when I have to deal, when it gets to that level where I got to deal with an artist or a PR person, they don't even tell their artist about it. It sucks, man. It just sucks. Yeah,
it was a drag. I was really happy that it came through, and Jay's he's a good dude for sure.
Drew says Salt Lake City loved Big Drill Car. We saw them many, many times.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
That's where we met. In Salt Lake City, we met. I wasn't with them, so I'm saying we, but I wasn't there. But Stormy Shepherd used to book, what was the venue? The Speedway, the off-ramp, something like that in Salt Lake that Stormy booked. And Stormy, do you know Stormy, Drew?
She books Agnostic Front now.
Yeah. And a lot of big bands.
And Murphy's Law and Sick of It All. Yeah, she's still in the game.
Totally. Yeah, she started out booking a club in Salt Lake City. That's how I met her. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of the club. It was in the 80s.
So the revision of the book, is it nice to get it back out there, doing some book events with old friends?
Yeah, man, it's been fun. Like collecting the stories was pretty fun. Honestly, being able to go through the old book and take out some of the stories that may have been partially acceptable in 1994 that definitely were not in 2024, and polishing it up a little bit, taking the typos out was awesome, and then gathering the new stories was fun. And these events have been awesome. Like this one with Caton it was just a really cool small bookstore called Page Against the Machine in Long Beach, California. Mm-hmm. We had like 4 or 5 different speakers there, and people get up and they kind of read their story, or they kind of look at the book and they're like, okay, this is the story, and then they just kind of reminisce about it, which is really fun. And that's
cool. I like that format a lot. It's really personable, and I think as a fan, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, we did that at the Punk Rock Museum too. It turned out really fun. Actually, the day before your tour, was when my event was there.
Right. Yeah, that looked like a cool event.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I just did one last week in San Diego that turned out really fun too. I had like 4 of the 5 speakers were all from 1990s era San Diego bands that are in the booth.
Nice.
So it was like a full San Diego attack of San Diego. It was perfect.
And you have this coming up. This is, I got a little confused by this because I saw Punk Rock Museum, but this is happening in San Diego?
This is happening in Long Beach.
In Long Beach, excuse me.
At the Warp Tour in Long Beach on the 26th and 27th of this month. The Punk Rock Museum got a tent there, and they're having different authors come both days and sell books and sign them if you want them signed. And I'm supposed to have a special guest. He has confirmed that he said, I'll definitely do one day, probably both, but I haven't been able to get him to reconfirm, but I feel like I should announce his name anyway.
Oh, please do.
Just for fun. Joe Escalante from the Vandals is supposed to stop by during my 5 to 6 hour and sign some books, because he's got a story in the book, so he'll sign his page.
We've had Kevin Salk has been on the show.
Cool. I'm looking forward to meeting him. I love his work.
Yeah. He's
you might love Jim Rulin too, the author.
Sounds familiar. What's his work?
He co-wrote Keith Morris's book.
Oh, okay. Right. That's where I've seen the name. Okay.
Co-wrote the Bad Religion book. He wrote the SST book, the most recent SST. He's a good dude. He's from San Diego.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Hey, let me take a quick sponsor break, and we'll wrap the sponsor stuff, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
See you in a couple. That's right. Get your questions together. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We're sponsored by blah, 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 and Candle Witch Co. It's a female-owned entrepreneur business based out of Connecticut. Owner Rachel King Keys handcrafts soy wax candles set with intentions for your sanctuaries. She has accomplished a life goal dream since beauty school, debuting her artist showcase Hotties and Hellions that features live bands, burlesque, sideshow acts, vendors, food trucks, and this year, a live auction with all proceeds going to the mental health program Punk Rock Saves Lives. Catch her in the tri-state area doing her thing, slinging candles at events, and keep an eye out for her show coming to New York in the spring of 2026. You can find her on Etsy and on Instagram at Candle Witch Co. Come on now, Joe Rumini. The Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album cover, promo photos, and social media exposure. The client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rolle, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but certainly not least, Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They're always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade new shirts at a daily at www.madvintage.com and post it on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap and reach out to them. Mad Vintage. Help me help you. Hey, get some questions together for Greg Jacobs. Come on, go deep and get weird. Get off your ass. Want to mention upcoming events. We mentioned this Saturday in New York City at Pugs, of course, owned by Johnny Eggs of Sheer Terror. Incendiary Device will be playing with Stigma, featuring Mike DeJean. with Mutant, The Blame, Sling Blades featuring Stephen Messina and Idiot Box, Long Island's finest. Sunday, August 3rd, it is the final show of Crazy Eddie. Free all ages Sunday matinee at the Bowery Electric with Brass Knuckle Brigade, the return of Enziguri, Four in the Chamber, and Go to Mentz. Yo, Pennsylvania, we are coming out your way. We are playing the Upstage Music Fest on August 9th with E-Town Concrete and Sworn Enemy, Mephistopheles, and many more. Sunday, August 31st, back at the Bowery Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee, Demise, Nailed to the Cross, featuring Layla on vocals, Cropsy, Jackknife Johnny with Joe Truck, Concrete Barrier, DJ Sid the Kid sound system. The Bronx Historical Society presents 24/7 Spies, Rebelmatic, Ake, Deadshot, and Fulano at the Bowery Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee. Yo, we're re-announcing this. The lineup is finally settling down. Sunday, August 12th at the Bowery Electric. ID is headlining. Non-residents and direct support. Dead Blowhammer featuring Rob Kabuler. Overstand featuring Todd the Kid from Warzone. Steel Toe Solution featuring Travis from... I'm drawing a blank. Travis from... It'll come to me. What else? From Hub City Stompers. Coming fast and furious. Yo, San Francisco, we're out playing with GBH at Crash Fest on October 18th. Hope to see you out there. And, of course, the Holiday Slamboree. We're revving up the My War Circus for Sunday, December 14th, along with Butterbrain, Tree, Serial Poets, and World of Chaos. There's a lot of information flying around, all right? Questions, post them. Yep. Here we go. Greg Jacobs, you're on.
Hey.
Okay. Drew asks, hey, is Greg still friends with Stormy Shepard? We taught history class. We taught history classes together at a local university. What?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I would say yes. I haven't communicated with her in a while. She booked, well, technically Big Drill Car is still on Stormy's roster. But since they're inactive and the last few things they've done were benefits, she likes to be involved, but she kind of doesn't need to be because there's no money changing hands. Mm-hmm. So I haven't talked to her for a couple years probably, but I still count her among my friends. I mean, I've known her since the 80s.
Wow.
Hey, Drew, the person that asked the question, do you remember the venue in Salt Lake City that I was trying to remember by any chance?
Mm-hmm. Speedway?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember a few years ago or several years ago, Stormy kind of had some of the other people working at her company taking a bigger role because she was in school getting her teaching credential. Mm-hmm. or she was teaching at the time. I don't remember, but that's cool that they were.
Speedway. Is Greg familiar with the Hardcore Legends Trading Cards Project?
I love the Hardcore Legends Trading Card Project.
Have you seen this?
I have not.
There you go.
Holy cow.
Media and management. I like that.
Wow, that's good. Yeah. That's it. Man, that's one of my headshots, but that's 90 pounds ago. And I can tell. But that's insane.
Here's the back of the card. Of course, he always does such a great job on the cards, but the back guy, he goes deep and it's helpful in my research. Let's see. Fun fact, Hell on Wheels was originally published in 1994 by Rock Press in San Diego. At the time, Greg was sharing an office with a book publisher, and they asked him to write a book so that the publisher would not be the only author with the company. After a post about the book on the Naked Raygun Facebook page in 2020. There was lots of interest in the book, which led to a 2024 revamped reissue with over 50 new bands and stories added to the book.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I seriously, like, I was every time I'd see those punk rock trading cards, and I'd see some of my friends that had cards, I'm like, there's no way I'm cool enough to get a punk rock trading card, a hardcore trading card. I'm like, I don't have the history or the recognition. That's
But you
awesome.
do. And if you're cool enough to be on this show, you're cool enough to get a card.
Well, you remember when we talked yesterday, Drew, I'm like, all right, this is a hardcore show. Like, are we going to talk about the Billy Milano story, or like, there's not that much hardcore? I was a little, but no, this is great.
You know, we go where the horse leads us, and we all come kind of, you know, hardcore it comes in and out of what we do. I just dealt with that with somebody else, a big name guy that come on the show, and he's like, well, I'm not like a hardcore guy. And I'm like, I sent him like some other, you know, I had the Grateful Dead's road manager on the show. It's like, you know, so what else we got here? How about, okay. Triv108 says, please tell us something of Danzig from the book and Billy Milano SOD. Great show as usual, Drew. Thank you so much. Love it. Of course. Yeah, you mentioned Billy. You know, the Danzig stuff in the book, is that from Christ or is that from Erie? Erie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Erie's thing is interesting, but short. Could you give us any perspective on Erie or on Billy?
Erie was actually one of the first people I approached just out of the blue. I just reached out to him because he was fairly active on Facebook. I don't know that he still is. And I just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested in participating? And he sent back I think it's a funny story. It's kind of, but you're right. It's kind of brief, and it's about him going out with the Metallica guys and kind of playing Misfits songs, and no one really knew who they were.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of funny. I think I was and plus I was like, wow, this might be easy if Erie's going to reply right away, or
right.
Right. Like, and the Billy story was, Billy gave me two stories, if I'm remembering correctly, but the one about him, they're filming his movie, Go Kill Yourself, or whatever I can't remember the name of the movie now, but the venue, I think it was in San Francisco, wasn't the promoter or the owner of the venue was not going to let him film in the venue, and Billy got all pissed off and said he was sleeping in the van, and they said they're not going to let you film in here. And Billy marches up in his tighty whities, and from what Billy says is he was dangling the promoter out the window by his ankles. And Scott Ian was below saying, "Don't kill him, Billy. Don't kill him.
Don't kill him. We need to get paid tonight."
Yeah. So it was good. And it was fun. I hadn't talked to Billy. I don't know Billy super well, but I met him back in the Hoboken days.
Billy Milano's a Hoboken guy.
Yeah, he had
before he moved to Texas. Yep.
Didn't he have a studio? He had a studio, and that's where I met him, and he was managing AF at the time, and I met him through Randy.
Do you know? I'll tie this in as you're going there. Hold on. So check this out. I'm just trying to get the right picture. So yes, the Billy Milano was in the building there, and he was managing Agnostic Front. And at the time, they asked me if I would direct an Agnostic Front video.
Nice. And
I agreed to do it. And that is the rooftop where I shot the Agnostic Front Gotta Go video.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
Shot on the rooftop of that building in Hoboken. That's the Gotta Go video is shot on a rooftop in Hoboken.
That's great.
And
I didn't know that.
in the street and in the street below, with the car and everything. So yeah, that's a connection right there with
funny.
with Hoboken. If anybody out there's wondering, the book is available at www.universityofhellpress.com. Hell on Wheels, Tour Stories, Remembered, Remixed, Remastered, available at, little typo there, I'll fix that. That said, let's see what else we got.
You know,
Hey,
one other quick Billy thing. Sorry,
Go ahead.
was
Go ahead.
I was staying with Randy when he was in Hoboken, and I was walking his dog Hank, and Billy knew Hank really well, and Billy either drove by or walked by, I don't remember exactly, but he yelled at me. He's all, "Why do you have that dog?" he didn't know who I was, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm staying with Randy. I'm walking Hank." He's all, "Okay." Like, but he was funny. He was very protective of Randy and Hank.
Were there a lot of stories removed from the first edition?
Yeah, I removed probably 20 of them. Some of them said things that I didn't want my name attached to. Derogatory things about sexual preferences and things that I was like, this isn't cool. I don't want this in here.
Yeah.
Some of them just weren't that exciting of stories. So we really, me and the editor of the new book read over the book several times, the old book several times, and we made a list of our favorite stories, and the ones that collided, those are the ones we kept.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. I think if you ask somebody about tour stories in let's say the 90s, I think the mentality would sort of go to a place of like, the one night that I slept with 10 different people and we got crazy and, had an orgy out on the open highway. I think that's a 90s sort of, tell us a tour story. Oh, you must be asking me about like my sexual escapades or something. I think, whereas revisiting it 2 years ago, that's almost like the last thing you think about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm happy with the stories that we kept and the stories that we removed, just because I feel better about the book.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That stuff hasn't aged well.
No. There was a lot of typos in the first edition of the book too.
It's not often in this life you get to go back and fix the typos. You're really fortunate, really fortunate in that regard. Redisonic asks, Greg, can you explain the cultural importance of Rocket from the Crypt and DLJ?
Drive Like Jehu.
On the San Diego scene? Rest in peace, Rick Froberg. Going to buy the book. Congrats and great show, Drew. Thank you, buddy.
Man, it's hard for me to separate myself. Oh, okay, I'll just say, I think personally, and this is going to be very egotistical, but I mean, Rocket from the Crypt and Drive Like Jehu, in my opinion, were the most important bands of San Diego in that time. Rocket in particular brought a lot of attention to San Diego. They were always the lead story in Rolling Stone and other publications of, is San Diego going to be the next Seattle? Everyone, all the record companies were looking for the next Seattle and the next Nirvana, and people thought it was San Diego, and more specifically, they thought it was Rocket. So I really think that Rocket had a huge impact on not only getting some attention for other bands, and other bands being able to get signed and other bands being able to tour. Other bands got major label deals. A lot of bands got indie label deals, brought attention to Cargo Records and the subsidiary Headhunter Records. which signed all the San Diego bands of that time. I think that, I mean, I have them tattooed on my body. Like, that's how important I think Rocket was.
Wow. That's awesome. And I must admit, being like an East Coast New York guy, it's sort of a long way away from my world here. Like, I don't know that much about those bands, to be honest with you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like geographically, it's very far. It was very far away from sort of the world, my universe at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, being on it, they weren't huge either. They weren't. I mean, they were both on Interscope Records. They both toured their asses off. Rocket more than Jehu, but they weren't that Rocket got some MTV exposure and things like that too.
I remember that. Yeah.
They weren't huge bands really. Yep. In fact, Rocket was bigger in Europe than they were in America.
This book seems like it might translate nicely as a documentary. Any interest in movie making?
Oh, wow. That is interesting. I haven't really thought about it. I've been thinking about trying to figure out how to do an audio version of the book with the voices that I have, because I'd say 70% of these were recorded interviews, so I have their
that's
voices.
very cool.
The other 30% were typewritten and submitted, but that would be a fun documentary to make, but I don't have the vision like Drew does to, like, I don't have a vision in my head of how a movie rolls out or what becomes a movie or being a director or anything like that. But if someone else wanted to do it, I would love to.
The thing, the audio book with the real voices sounds very cool.
That would be cool.
That's what I listen to audiobooks now a lot, because when I'm not prepping a show or we're playing a show, or I can't listen to more music. I need to listen to a fucking audiobook. I just can't. You know, my job is music. I can't just do music. I enjoy audiobooks, and I would really enjoy something like that. You know,
that's cool. Yeah, I went through this when I was managing. I could not listen to music because I was so competitive. Yeah. I'm like, why is this shit on the radio and my stuff isn't? And why this and that? I listened to sports talk radio when I was managing bands because I just couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And here's a shot of you in the management game, huh?
Yeah, that was a big drill car reunion. That's the front porch of the Hollywood House of Blues.
Oh yeah, of course.
Before it was torn down.
It's kind of crazy they tore that down, huh?
Yeah, it really is. God, I still dress exactly the same, and that's got to be 10 years ago.
What's in that space now?
You know, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been up on Sunset Boulevard. I don't know for sure.
Anybody out there know what where the old House of Blues on Sunset?
It might be an apartment building now.
I saw some great shows there, man.
Me too. I saw Eminem there before his record came out. Wow. Didn't know. I just had read an article about this new white gangster rapper. That's all I read about. I'm like, he's playing at the House of Blues, and we got in, and I remember standing in the crowd laughing at his lyrics because some of the, like, you know, stapled his balls to a stack of paper or whatever, like, and Ice-T was there. There were some heavy hitters in that audience that night. Wow. I couldn't believe we got in, honestly.
Who did I see there? I think I saw Social Distortion there. I saw the Misfits there. I mean, but this was, you know, the Jerry Only Misfits, but it was still great at the time. Or it might have been what's his name singing? Michael Graves.
Oh,
yeah. You mentioned the Casbah. Was Shea Cafe also important to you in San Diego? Any interactions with Inside Out back in the day?
Wow. The Shea, For me, wasn't as significant as it was to a lot of other people. The Shea, for those who don't know, was on the campus of UCSD and was pretty much the only long-standing all-ages venue, and it was a co-op, and it was very, very kind of like Gilman Street almost, like run by the kids, run for the kids. It was great, and Rocket from the Crypt played there. Drive Like Jehu played there. One of the first times I saw Drive Like Jehu was Drive Like Jehu and Superchunk there.
Oh wow!
And it was a small, tight, sweaty room. So to me personally, it wasn't super important, but in general, absolutely, the Shea was massively important. And
interesting.
Yeah, Inside Out, no, I don't. Honestly, it's not even ringing a bell to me, which might expose me as a poser. I'm not sure, but
I don't think so. This is an interesting shot. I see your book stuff in the background. Of course, these are two of our great friends and supporters.
Oh, yeah.
What you and Vin and Raj, what's going? What is this? What's going on here?
This so there was a record swap meet being held at I'm going to say it again, the CBGBs of Long Beach, Alex's bar.
I remember this. They did a book event there.
Yeah, it was a record swap meet, and they did a book event, and I got in on the swap meet, and I said I want to be next to Vinny and Roger because they're selling books and I'm selling books.
Right.
And then when they came in, I didn't know them at all at the time. I had never met them. I had texted with Roger because Roger actually was supposed to be in this book. But I looked back at the texts, and they were right at the time when he was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
So he's like, he replied, and he was like, I would love to do this. I've got some stuff going on. Give me some time.
Yeah.
So, but I talked to both of them, sat next to them all day, total sweethearts. Like, you know, you hear about the big, scary agnostic front guys, and oh my God, nicest guys you could ever meet.
Two of my oldest and best friends, you know, in this game. I mean, I've known them both since 1981, and we're playing with Stigma in 3 days.
That's awesome.
You know, we're playing with Vin, and you know, these are just.
I went and saw Agnostic Front about a month after that picture was taken. They played at this place called the Garden Amphitheater, but played in the small room, the locker room. It's like 100 capacity room with Agnostic Front and Murphy's Law. I couldn't believe they were playing that room. And Vinny likes to work the crowd, so he's wandering around the crowd between bands, and he comes up to me and he's like, I know you. He couldn't figure out where, but I said, as soon as I throw out Randy's name, they're all, oh yeah, I remember, you were friends with Randy.
He did this really cool thing in his country thing, which I thought was, I don't know where he got it from, or maybe he's doing it in AF, but it's the first time I'm seeing it. But I saw his country thing with Eugene Hutz from Go Go Bordello is in the band, and at the end of the set, the last song, he goes into the crowd with the mic and kind of goes and like starts in, hey, how are you? Hey, good to see you. He does this whole thing where he's like hugging me. Oh, how's your wife? And he just goes from person to person. Thank you for coming. I thought it was great. It was almost like a Dean Martin thing, you know. It was.
He seems to love it, man. Like just working the crowd. He loves people. It seems like.
Sure. Is that right? The most infamous band from San Diego is STP, though some claim they aren't really from. Is that right? Stone Temple Pilots is from.
That's a bone of contention. Stone Temple Pilots, the two brothers, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Yeah, the DeLeo brothers.
The Leo brothers. They were
Yeah.
from North County, San Diego.
Hmm.
Scott Weiland is an Orange County guy, and I'm not
Okay.
sure where the drummer was, but they were not a band based in San Diego,
Right.
in my opinion. And they were I lived down there from 1991 to 2000, and that band was not there.
Yeah.
So,
I remember seeing them early on. They were pretty great.
Yeah.
They were pretty great early on. They were powerful. They were great.
Yeah, they were. And I saw Velvet Revolver with Scott Weiland, and I couldn't. That dude can, like, you just can't take your eyes off him when he's on stage. Like, he was like almost Iggy Pop-esque. Like, I couldn't believe it how enthralled I was, and like, not because I kind of have I have a stick up my ass about that band because of the San Diego claims and the fact that I don't believe they're from San Diego. But going in with my defenses up, I was like, wow, this dude is entertaining, man. He's good. He was good at what he's doing.
He was a talented guy that met a very sad demise, you know.
My friend Bob, the bass player of Big Drill Car, played on Scott's solo stuff.
Oh wow. Yeah. You know, you reminded me of a band that I saw that didn't move on stage, and I couldn't take my eyes off them. And that was Alice in Chains.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I can't remember if that's ever been the case where I could not stop. I couldn't take my eyes off this band, and yet none of them were moving. It was really interesting and unique.
That is, yeah.
Alice in Chains at the peak of their powers. You know, they were really incredible. Okay, we're starting to head down the home stretch, but here's Triv, thanks. Tell us about the cult from the book, please.
That is I love that story. I can't remember who got it, actually. I didn't get that story. That's from the original book, and we redid it or not redid it, but we polished it up a little bit. But it's a pretty funny drunken story about stealing golf carts and driving around golf courses and trying to steal a plane at one point. It's nuts. But I gotta figure out who got that story for us, because there's no credit in the new version or the old version of the book. Because we don't know who we got it from.
It just sort of appeared. You know, another one of your shots. You and I thought for a second this might have been a vase, because I think the same day we were hanging out, we bumped into Johnny Two Bags from Social Distortion at the museum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny did the day before your event. Johnny did my event.
Okay.
He read Gabby's story when Johnny was in the Cadillac Tramps, and Gabby was a singer who passed, but Gabby gave me a story from the original book, and I thought it would be cool to have Johnny read it.
Yeah, I've been talking to Johnny about coming on the show. We gotta.
Dude, Johnny. I say this about everybody, but Johnny is one of the nicest people you could ever meet in your life, and I've known him since high school.
He's one of the nice guys in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. He's one of them. He's just like Vinny Stigma. You know, he just nobody goes, you know what? Fuck Johnny Two Bags. You don't hear that. You don't hear, fuck Vinny Stigma. You don't hear that. You don't hear that.
The other dude in that picture is Jamie Riedling, who was also in the Cadillac Tramps with Johnny, and the U.S. Bombs with Johnny. And Jamie's been in every band you can think of.
I saw the Cadillac Tramps in the 90s, and they were fucking great.
They were a great band. Yeah.
They had it going on. They were a fun, raucous band.
Yeah. I really dug them.
Yeah. Makes sense that he would end up in Social Distortion.
Yeah, you know, it's fun. I working for Trust Records putting together I put together a Youth Brigade record, and
Yeah.
I was meeting with with Sean Stern, and we were going through some of his old archives, and I pulled this lyric sheet out. I'm like, what's this? He's all, oh, Johnny wrote that when he was in Youth Brigade. So he said, so I took a picture of it and sent it to Johnny, and Johnny was blown. He's all, where the hell did you get that?
Wow.
But then he said, Sean said, he said, you know, Johnny would come in with songs and we would never use them. And I finally told him, dude, you should join Social Distortion, because he thought Johnny was writing Social Distortion songs, basically. And little did he know, a few years later, that would be Johnny's gig.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I got to reach out to John. You know how it is, you know, like doing a show like this, it's like you chase people down. If it doesn't happen, you sort of wander off to the people that are receptive to it, and then you kind of circle back to them later if you can, or, you know, or whatever. Well, thank you. I think that's our cue there. Drew, thanks. The book is Hell on Wheels, Tour Stories Remembered, Remixed, and Remastered. Of course, the author is Greg Jacobs, and the book can be purchased at www.universityofhellpress.com. I want to thank you for coming on the show, Greg. I knew we were going to have some fun with it. Is there anybody you'd like to thank? Is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Well, at first, I'd like to thank you for having me on. This was really cool. I got to tell you, I was a little nervous about it, just in general, like thinking that who's going to want to hear me talk for this amount of time. But you know who I think I got to thank too is Randall Underwood. So I think he put the bug in your ear to have me do this show, and that I'm really stoked that he did and that we did the show. Those are, and of course my wife, she just got home and she's listening, so I have to thank her too.
I think he might have, but you know, it's just, you know, we spent some time together that day when I was doing the tour, and you're just, you know, the kind of artist that is welcome on the show, and I love doing these kind of shows, and I love your book, and
awesome.
I just think it's great. So I want to thank you for coming on, and let's keep in touch. I'll reach out and I'll let you know. I think we're talking about coming out there and playing some shows. I mean, I know we're doing San Francisco. We're doing this. We're doing something up in, what are we doing? We're doing this Crash Fest thing in San Francisco with GBH. But I think we're talking about doing LA and San Diego as well. So I'll let you know. Cool.
Yeah. I'd love to see you again. That'd be great. And please say hi to Tristan for me too. I haven't talked to him since Punk Rock Bowling.
I certainly will. I'll see him soon. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon, Greg.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, gang. Another one in the books. The New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today was Greg Jacobs. And that was great. I really enjoyed it. This Saturday, we're going to be playing with Stigma if you're in New York. And this Sunday, we'll be on with co-host Howie Abrams. And we're going to have Tommy Carroll on the show. So thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate your support. We're still at it, and we will continue to be at it for quite a long time. Until next time, do good things, and good things will come to you.